And here in Open Sky House, we have a very beautiful weekend because some of you know Michael Barnett, who's in my new book, Meetings with Remarkable People. So I've invited his wife of 25 years, Mishka. She's doing a rebalancing, not a rebalancing, rebirthing weekend. So we're having a very intensive weekend all about our births. Last night we were in a swimming pool, a big swimming pool in where they had a big hot water pool where we could experience similar environment to our birth, our actual birth. And now today in our seminar room, we are, she is conducting some interesting techniques to give, again, people an experience of how their birth was. So I've escaped from there to come and talk to you. Stefan is there. Good. Okay, so I think we'll start. I suggest we'll just tune in together for a few minutes, 2 or 3 minutes in silence. Okay, so keeping your eyes closed, look inside and see what is the strongest thing that's happening right now inside. And bring your attention to whatever that is. Keep your eyes closed. And don't try to change anything. Just bring your attention, leave your attention on whatever is the strongest thing. Okay, take another look and see what is the strongest now. Keep your eyes closed. Don't try to change anything. Try to keep your eyes closed and keep looking inside. So this time, see if you can fall deeper inside. Come to what is the strongest, but deeper inside. And just be the witness. Okay, so when you're ready, you can open your eyes. Come back into the room. Okay, so would anybody like to share what they discovered? What happened inside when you had a look?
Gloria, would you like to share?
Yeah.
Start, yeah.
Hello, Gloria.
Good evening, John.
Hello, hello.
Nice to see you again.
Okay.
I have two things I want to say. First of all, it's a pity I didn't know about the rebirthing weekend. I would love to have done that. Sounds really great. So if
Okay.
you ever do that again, let me know.
Okay. Actually, this weekend was just for the residents of our community.
Ah, okay. Well,
But we are planning to offer it to the public,
super,
so to speak. Yeah. So we'll let you know.
Yeah. And on the other, what we did now about looking inside, for me, it's this being the witness and seeing my consciousness mingling with the subconsciousness, and it sort of becomes one. It's like I'm going into a tunnel, or into a funnel. Just goes down and becomes one. It's very the two mingle, become one. The subconscious and the conscious mind. That's
Right.
the feeling I have. Yeah. Okay.
Okay. All right. That's good.
Mm.
Anybody else like to share? It's a kind of chance to make an introduction. Madhu, would you like to say hello from Spain, from Madrid, where the virus is rampant?
Okay. No, I'm okay. I'm on peace and relaxed and good. But yes, but 3 days ago I received a notice about my apartment and only half 30 minutes for and then I'm relaxed and flow and accept and okay.
You're coming to live with us, are you? We've been keeping your place for some time already.
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, but I'm okay. Yeah.
Good. Good.
Yeah.
Anybody? Who else have we got? Your name is Lenova, but maybe you're Luigi. Would you like to share?
Lenovo, we can't hear you. It seems like your microphone is not really working. Do you have another one? No, still not working.
I try with like this. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, now we can hear you. Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so I don't need this. So I'm sorry because I just arrived. So we didn't listen the introducing Satsang, but we are happy to be here now and following what you propose.
Okay, good, good. And was it you that wrote to me today with an interesting question?
Yes, yes.
Did you
Thank
see
you
my
for,
did you see my answer?
yes,
Good.
important answer.
Are you familiar with Ramana Maharshi?
Yes, I have been also twice in Tiruvannamalai.
Ah, okay, good, good. So you're very familiar.
So I follow your suggestion about to download the Ramana Maharshi book in probably on your site, right?
You can get it off Amazon as well. You can download it from Amazon also. Yeah. Actually, this is the most original book from Ramana Maharshi. It's called Nanya. And in about 1922, he personally edited about 25 questions and answers that he was asked when he was living in the cave up on the mountain. And anyway, we have a press that publishes books called Open Sky Press, and we published about 30 books. Not yet in Italian, I'm afraid, but if we get to know each other, maybe we can publish also in Italian. And so we decided to make a beautiful edition of this classical text. So you'll find in this book also beautiful pictures of Ramana Maharshi. And I think question 11, the answer to question 11, or maybe it was 12, is telling how to actually use this idea of self-inquiry. It's quite simple, actually.
Gonna to download as soon as possible.
Okay. And can I say hello to your wife? You're sitting near somebody else. Is it a wife or I'm not sure, a friend? This must be Mrs. Luigi.
Audio is not so good. So.
Oh, okay.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. Sorry, but the audio is not so good that I didn't see
Okay.
it.
Okay, no problem. Yeah. Anyway, it's amazing that we can have what is quite a personal meeting between Italy and actually I'm sitting at the moment near to Düsseldorf in Germany. And so anyway, it's maybe I'm coming to see you in August. I don't know. Maybe
Would
you'll be
great.
on. You won't be on holiday or not in August. I thought the whole of Italy went on holiday in August.
Oh, we are waiting for you.
Yes,
Okay.
of course.
Okay, that's nice. It's nice. Thank you. Let's see what happens. Okay, Marco, would you like to share something? I think we don't hear Marco, do we?
Marco, you have to click something.
Yeah. Now we hear you.
Okay. Yes, during the practice, I was feeling very quiet.
Okay.
At the beginning, I caught myself with some thought. I was planning my holidays.
Okay.
And then there was I was very quiet and just some bodily sensations here and there.
Okay.
Was a good to be quiet for a few minutes after dealing with the kids the whole day. So
okay, right.
yeah, so
Maybe
I'm happy to be here.
Maybe when you're planning your holidays, you could come to one of our retreats with your children, because my children will also be there, and we'll organize some childcare.
Yeah, indeed. I'm just thinking about that now. I've seen the dates which might fit would be the one in Tripilia.
Right.
On the other hand, I'm likely to go to Italy to see my family, which I haven't seen for a long time.
Okay. Right.
But let's see. As I said, I didn't plan it yet, so to
sure
see what I can do.
Okay.
The one in, unfortunately, the one in Spain, they're too late because the school will start in mid-August.
September, yeah.
So.
And the one, of course, in Tripilia is Russian speaking, so your kids, I think, speak Russian. Yeah?
Yes, they do. Yes. So.
Yeah, and we'll have Russian. We'll have a Russian carer.
No,
two
right.
actually, 2 Russian carers.
Yeah, would be perfect.
So without they can, and we have a kind of play area for kids there and a beach with sand. So probably you can get some time alone.
Yeah. Yes, perhaps I need to convince my mom to come over with us there.
Okay. Yeah. Sure. Yeah. All right. Okay. Good. So Dominique, we haven't met you before, I think. Would you like to share something?
Hello, John. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm still in Rishikesh.
You're still in Rishikesh?
Still in Rishikesh, yeah, after a long time now, 5 months.
Wow. And I mean, you can't fly out of India, or you don't want to fly?
I think there are only emergency flights at the moment. They're quite expensive, and maybe in July it's open again. So for the normal international flights.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah.
Well, it's not a bad place to be kind of locked in.
Definitely not. Yeah. Very peaceful, very quiet at the moment. Not many tourists.
Right. Very nice. Yeah. Actually, I don't know if you get any news there, but the news that I've had about India is not so good at the moment, especially in Delhi. The hospitals have come to a kind of capacity. So it's not a good situation, actually. Also in Bombay, and I think some of the other big cities like Chennai. Yeah, the virus is really not doing so well for people.
Yeah, I heard it a bit.
Yeah, you may still be there when we come to India in January.
Yeah,
I was hoping to come back to Rishikesh in October, but it won't be now. It won't be this year. Yeah.
Probably not. Yeah, I think it will take a long time here in India.
Right.
Yeah.
Good. Okay. Anyway, nice to see you again.
Good to see you.
Okay. So, Mahar or Vishnu, you like to say hi?
Hi.
Okay, that's enough from you guys. Are you still locked down together?
Yeah, a little bit like that, yeah.
It must be months now. So you're probably enjoying the virus time. Yeah. Okay. So now everybody has said hello. I would like to say a few words, and then I can dialogue about any questions or any topic you would like to talk about. So recently I was watching some David Attenborough nature films. It seems that they make more and more spectacular films about animals and about the life of the tropical forests, about the sea, deserts. It's pretty amazing now what they're able to film. But of course, as he's filming, as he's observing the wildlife on the whole planet, he's in a very good position to see the effects of human life. And of course, this is pretty shocking. For example, in Malaysia, they cut down, I don't know exactly, but a great percentage of the tropical rainforests have been cut down to grow palm oil, which apparently is used in a variety of situations, particularly I think in cosmetics. And of course, forests of palm leaf doesn't allow much of a mixture of animals and so on. So that's one of the very sad and typical situation from humanity, that we, cut down the tropical forest, which is alive in such a powerful biodiversity. And another example would be the fish in the sea. When I was a kid at school, I learned all about the fish in the North Sea between England and Europe. Somehow in the middle of that sea, there's a huge sandbank. And this used to attract a certain kind of fish. And as you know, England is famous for fish and chips. And we used to get our fish from that sandbank. And apparently fishing has been so intense over the years, they've managed to cut the number of fish down to 0. So there's no fish anymore. So that would be another example. And of course, we all know there are many, many examples now where humanity seems to have no ability to balance itself and balance the effect on the planet. And so now in the last years, we're very familiar with the global warming and so on. Yeah. So I was thinking to myself, what is behind that? What is the kind of root of that issue? Because if we can deal with the root of the issue, then maybe we have some hope to make a difference. And of course, the root has to be in humanity. Yeah? It has to be us human beings. There has to be something going on with human beings, which in the end is causing that. So if you consider inside yourself, you know that sometimes you feel very good, and other times perhaps you don't feel so good. And maybe in those times you feel some kind of lack, something is lacking, something is missing. We feel a lack of love. We feel that we're not really nourished. And when we have some kind of longer feeling of this lack, it brings us very much into the desire to go out and maybe buy a bar of chocolate, buy some clothes, buy a new car. We want to get something. So this feeling of lack inside creates a constant desire amongst human beings to go out and get something, to fill up this feeling inside that something is missing. So that it seems to me is actually the root of this incredible effect in the environment of the whole planet now. That if we really want to heal the planet, we need to heal the human beings who live on the planet. And only by healing the human beings and dealing with this lack of love can we really expect the external environment of the planet to be healed. And of course, this is a pretty tragic situation, because those of you who've already done some investigation into your inner world, you will have already discovered that in various moments, you've discovered that your very nature is actually love. That very likely you've come to an inner space where you felt completely nourished, completely full, and nothing was missing. So when we come to that, then of course, there's no question of lacking something, and there's no need to reach out to get something. There's no desire anymore. So somehow no desire is an indication that actually we can feel full, we can feel complete, we can feel we're not missing anything. And then actually that space we can call love. And unfortunately, generally, we don't call that love. We call what happens between ourselves and a partner. Very often it's a male-female relationship, but nowadays it can be a different kind of relationships between two people. And we call that love. What happens between, well, what happens in a relationship, basically, between two people. We call that love. And maybe we don't recognize that there is intrinsically something that every human being, in fact, has. It's the essential nature of every single human being. And this is a very beautiful sense of being complete, of not missing anything, not lacking anything. And if we could access this essential nature, it seems to me we wouldn't be needing then to move out all the time into the material world to get something. And in fact, there would be an enormous change in the way the relationship is going between humanity, which is now, I think, about 8 million people, and the need of the nature, the intrinsic nature of planet Earth. So, yeah, so I wanted to say just a little bit about that. I don't know if somebody likes to take that subject, or perhaps somebody has a different subject. In a couple of weeks, I'm going to Tripelia, which is just outside in the countryside from Kiev in Ukraine. We have a beautiful retreat center there. And I think many of you know that some years ago, there was this atomic explosion at a power station. Luckily, it's not near where our retreat center is. It's on the other side of Kiev. And so for, I don't know exactly how many years, 30 or 40 years, is it? Maybe longer. That whole area was closed down, had to be locked down. Nobody could live there. There was a city there that was just left empty. And David Attenborough and his team went into that area and discovered that in the years that no human beings could really go there and certainly not live there, nature has taken it back. And so in the city, the trees and bushes have grown back, and the all kind of animals have come back to live in that area. Birds are back. And so actually, even in quite a few years, nature has reasserted itself in that area. So that's a little bit interesting, I think, that if humanity pulls back and gives a space, nature just can easily move in.
Marco?
Yes. So it's concerning the first part of what you were saying concerning the lack. Actually, it's something which I've been experiencing recently, very, very strongly, and I could observe that. Could be currently because of the situation I'm in, which is quite stressful, and this whole coronavirus lockdown and the situation, let's say, I could really observe this feeling of lack and how that caused me to have behaviors that try to fill this lack, but of course they couldn't. And for example,
I see one of your girls is there
yeah,
on your
yes,
knee now.
Fai ciao, fai ciao, fai ciao.
Hello.
She's already hungry, so she wants some food, but first I'll finish here. And so yes, so I was really observing. Sì, sì. I was really observing that, and
Cosa?
Vai di là per favore, che adesso finisco di parlare. Chiudi la porta. And so and these behaviors which we were mentioning, for example, eating chocolate is a typical one. Which when I feel this lack, then I tend to eat a lot of chocolate. Also I was thinking also the fact that last year I going quite regularly to the Open Sky House for the different retreat and the Sangha meetings. I really could fall into a very nice state of silence and feeling fulfilled or nourished. And of course, now that things have changed, perhaps the lack of this direct contact being there, despite of the Zoom meetings, which I feel they are good, they're not as good as being there. So this is coming back, and I'm observing that. Then connecting that to what you were saying about the sad situation of nature and of the world. Of course, when you have this lack on a larger scale, you can really do damage to the environment. And I remember, just to give an example, many years ago I was a member of Greenpeace Germany, and I was taking part in the campaigns, mainly, let's say, sending emails and writing letters. And I remember I was in a campaign which was about whaling, trying to ban whaling. Right. And I was always amazed how when you were reading the reports of the International Whaling Committee, which was supposed to regulate whaling, the whales were defined as resources, resources to be exploited or to be even saved, of course, but they were resources. They were not very intelligent animals, which they are. But I was always shocked by this kind of the usage of this term in this report, which shows really disrespect for these animals and basically right. The way man looks upon them as just resources. Right. And so it's a very bad situation. And of course, if humanity would get more enlightened or more, of course that would change. And we need a shift and we need a transformation. And so I hope it will happen. And for our own, for our own sake, because eventually, if we don't change, we simply become extinct, and the world and the earth will go on without us. So
right, that's right. Yeah, it's kind of a suicide kind of bent that humanity's got into. Yeah. For example, everybody, but you can easily understand the need of having oxygen because we're breathing out all the time oxygen. And if you put a plastic bag on your head, it's only a few minutes that you find that you can't breathe and there isn't enough oxygen. And, that's not a good situation. So we know we need oxygen to breathe. And naturally, the whole planet is breathing and there is a certain kind of finite amount of oxygen. And we can easily learn the science that the trees are one of the main transmitters of oxygen. They breathe in the carbon dioxide and they breathe out oxygen. So these vast forests around the world, which have been cut down, they are actually, you could say, the lungs of the planet. And yet somehow the people who are cutting them down have no sense of the bigger picture. Somehow they don't know, they don't understand that. And of course, they have their own personal pressures. They have to feed their family or whatever it is. The country has to pay its way and so on. And so, I mean, you talked about the whales. I was watching one of the programs about the orange utang, the big monkeys that live in Malaysia in the tropical forest. They're almost identical to human beings. They're very intelligent animals, maybe the most intelligent next to human beings. And they're tremendously under threat because of this palm oil that they're cutting down the tropical forests and growing huge acres of palm oil plants. And so these monkeys are getting more and more, how can I say, their forest is getting more and more reduced, yeah. And in the same way we talk about the whales, they probably also talk about the resources of this land without any caring about those animals. And somehow human beings have managed to convince themselves that they're kind of superhuman, close to gods. Of course, we have a lot of intelligence and we have a lot of power. And so, for example, with the whales, we could easily catch them and cut them up and put them in tins as cat food. But what an incredible waste of these gigantic animals that they end up cut up into cat food, for God's sake. It's really, really disgusting, you could say. One of the positive things is that since your campaign, actually, maybe you probably know that since all that campaigning about whales, the whale population has come back. So apparently nearly all the big blue whales, the very biggest ones, and the sperm whales, they're coming back quite strongly. And in fact, he had a beautiful film of about 20 sperm whales somewhere in the North Pole, I think it was, where these whales were fishing together. So there was about 20 of them fishing together, and they found a shoal of tiny little fish, which they eat. And they made a circle. These 20 whales made a big circle, which they gradually brought smaller. And at a certain point, talking to each other, they made bubbles. So together they made a whole circle of bubbles. And this concentrated the fish into a small area. Then these 20 whales opened their mouths and gulped down all these fish. So, I mean, it was an incredible bit of filming, which I'd never heard about, I'd never seen before. That, of course, these whales are intelligent. They're intelligent enough to coordinate together, 20 whales, and to do this kind of fishing trick, if you like. So, as you say, to call them a resource in some kind of strange way is humanity's way of not having to feel that, not having to feel that, you know, the whales deserve also a space on this planet.
Yes, it's as someone said, we have basically lost the connection to Mother Nature, and so we don't consider it something we are connected with, but with something, just something to be exploited. And
right.
Of course, that's very sad.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And it may be that this is one of the positive benefits of the lockdown, the virus lockdown of the last few months, that many of the things weren't possible. Like you couldn't easily fly from one country to another. You couldn't even go out if you lived in a city. You had to stay mostly at home. And so maybe this period of lockdown is somehow going to give a space for some real changes to happen. Could be.
Let's hope so.
Right. Anyway, I hope you are you coming in 2 weeks to our meeting? Are you coming next week to the Sangha weekend?
Yes. I think I'll come. I still don't know 100% if I will come alone or with my kids. Most likely alone. But okay, I will have to leave on Sunday a bit earlier to pick them up back. In Amsterdam.
I mean, we would be open to your partner coming with you as a childcare if she wanted to. Whatever helps you, basically.
Yes, exactly. But I think they probably at the moment, they probably will stay with my wife and and then I'll come. So but I plan to come either way. So.
Okay, good. Good to see you. Yeah.
That's the.
Yeah. Okay, somebody else like to talk about something? Madhu?
I need to know, what do you think about the general situation? No, this season, this time to inside or at home is a purpose. Is the divine for the awakening, or what do you think about that? Or is I don't know if you listen about the certainly kind of the people provoke this situation. What do you think?
Well, yeah, I mean, in some ways there's a certain flow, which on some level we can't understand what is the intelligence of that flow, but of course there is some kind of universal intelligence which you can call God, but anyway, whatever word you want to use, it's a certain kind of wisdom, a certain knowledge, certain intelligence, and I think we don't understand how that works really. And I mean, over the last probably 50 years at least, there's been many people, like Marco was saying with Greenpeace, they were campaigning for the whales 30 years ago. Now they get some benefit, the whales are coming back. So already for a long time, there is a small group of people who had the intelligence and the consciousness to understand that what's going on the planet is actually not working anymore. For example, if you read about the Indians, the natural Indian population of North America, they had in their culture, in their living culture, that I mean, they relied on hunting animals, but they did it in a way that they kept something in harmony. And maybe they when they were hunting, they would hunt the weaker animals rather than the stronger animals and so on. So they were very much aware of some kind of harmony that's needed between in the nature. And of course, if it's left by itself, anyway, the nature has this. I was amazed by some of the delicate moments in David Attenborough's movies, in his films. He shows certain kinds of plants which rely on animals or insects to nourish themselves. And in fact, in the nature, there's many examples of, I can't explain really, but animals, birds, insects, somehow coordinated together, that some animal eats the fruit on a tree and then it flies, some kilometers, and it drops the seeds in the ground, and then the trees grow up again, and so on. So this is the way the trees propagate themselves, for example. So there are so many examples that are now being filmed about the connection between the animals, the birds, and the insects, for example. It's pretty amazing to see that. And as Marco was saying, human beings have managed to separate themselves from that natural world, Mother Nature. And I mean, recently, in the last, I don't know, maybe 10 years even, the pressure has got more and more, partly from population, partly from technology, partly because I think many people who are rich, who have a great capacity, inside themselves, they're not nourished. I mean, your nourishment doesn't necessarily get better when you have enormous amounts of money where you can buy a yacht. Maybe buying a yacht can fill up your feeling of lack for some time, but not really. So, I mean, basically, we have the power in the last 50 years that when we reach out and buy lots of yachts or aeroplanes or whatever it is, this still doesn't satisfy our inner feeling of lacking something, of not being nourished. And so it may well be that this virus has shown up in some natural flow and has created a moment when it's impossible to neglect anymore that humanity is part of the whole, I don't know the right word, but the whole of Mother Nature. We're not separate. And we've now facing the fact that some completely invisible little bug is killing many, many people and is having the power to close down a city like New York, Paris, London. These big cities are closed down from some tiny little virus, which we can't even see. So it seems to me quite possible that this a certain kind of flow that's come to us because we simply don't want to hear, we don't want to look, we don't want to wake up.
Mm.
And somehow, the message from that, all that situation is that humanity has to go inside. It has to become more conscious. And of course, in the last years, it seems to me that probably there are more and more people who are touched and understand that and are doing something about that. If you remember when we met you, I think it was 2 years ago we met you, something had happened inside you that you were ready for that meeting to happen. Is that right?
Mm.
And now recently you were sharing that, you've had some moments now where you feel this inner satisfaction, completely, your inner love, your essential nature has expressed itself so that you don't feel this lack. So even now, when maybe you didn't win the court case and you're going to have to leave your apartment, even in that situation, which 2 years ago, there was a lot of fear about that. Now, 2 years later, because you're much more conscious and inside you, you feel much more complete, that's not a threat. That's not really a threat anymore to you to lose that apartment because there's another apartment. Is that right? Or
Yeah.
but you remember 2 years ago, it was a very strong thing for you.
Yeah. I know. I remember. Yeah, but
you could also see your story about your apartment as existence's way to put Madhu out a bit into the world. Maybe she got a bit too cut off.
I don't listen, nothing. The voice is out.
Oh, you didn't hear me?
Now, yes.
Okay, so I was saying that, your situation about your apartment
Yeah.
I mean, it can also be the flow, you know, the intelligence of the universe is saying, hey, Madhu, it's time to leave your apartment in Madrid and there's a new step for you.
Yeah. Yeah. I understand the message.
It's not comfortable, of course. It's not a comfortable message.
Yeah, yes, it's not comfortable because it's I have any plan. No, I love to live in Madrid. I love, but now I think it's okay. Where the live is the live is saying me okay where anywhere. Yeah, I don't know.
Right.
Yeah, and flow. But now I'm more conscious, more love, and more. In Spanish is confianzas. I forgot. Could you help me?
Confidence, maybe confidence. You trust. There's more
Trust,
trust in life.
trust is yes, much trust in life. Yeah,
Right,
but
right.
sometimes is a go to back, no back again.
Yes.
I remember my inconscious, my saying it again. I know, but and then I observe and saying, okay, no, this is my film, my and then say
Right,
bye.
right. I think it's okay, you know, we all take, you know, 2 steps in one way and then 1 step back, you know. It's a kind of dance, becoming more conscious.
Yeah.
I mean, where are we today? Saturday. On Monday, in 2 days, Radha is leaving our community in Germany and she's going to Denia in Spain.
Oh.
If you want to come and live in Spain for a while, in Denia for a while.
It's a good place. It's hot, beach, and
Yeah.
a beautiful house and beautiful people.
Swimming pool.
Yes, a good plan. and meditation and go inside is good, yes.
Right, right.
Yes.
So welcome.
Oh, thank you so much. Yeah. What do you think? You listen about the dark elite on the world, for example, Cliff Bilderberg and Soros and OMS. You listen about that? What do you think about that or never?
Sorry, I don't understand actually. What are you talking about?
The Cliff Bilderberg. The elite dark. You know, listen about that?
Dark?
Elite.
Elite.
Yeah, the five families to manage all the world. You listen about that?
Yeah. Okay. Some kind of secret society of rich people, rich families who control everything.
Yeah, everything. And I think this is the papel, the paper for the awakening of the people. No, you think like that, or what do you think?
Well, actually, I don't
the
think,
function, no.
I don't really think about it at all. Actually, I mean, I don't know if it's true or it's not true, but my guess would be it's not true, really. I mean,
yeah.
It may be a bit more than 4 families, you know, maybe 4,000 families. I mean, clearly there are very, very rich people, and these people have a lot more power than the ordinary people have. But how that power is actually working in the world, I think nobody really knows. Anyway, I don't know. But yeah, I don't know. These kind of ideas, you know, I'm not so interested actually.
Yeah. Okay.
Not so interested. Yeah. Okay. You still have time. Something else? Om is on the Zoom today. Some of you know him. He's recently joined our community. Well, he joined already about 6 months ago, but he's one of the new boys. And this morning he was being involved in this rebirthing experience. And in fact, he was rebirthed. So we have a new Om right now. Maybe he would like to share a bit about, yeah, would you like to share a bit at this moment?
Yeah, sure. So rebirth, yeah. I mean, what Mishka, Michael Barnett's wife, she's doing the workshop with us, and what she was pointing out after I explained the details of my birth was that I should look at what motivates me to be here, because I had the strong sense that my birth was not really pleasant, and I didn't really want to be born in a way, or something. There was just a lot of resistance, and so she was asking me why would I want to be here, and also in this birthing process. It was very slow. I think I was the slowest of the whole group to come out of the womb. And yeah, it felt not very nice to be to come out. But then afterwards, when I was just lying there in the arms of all the people, it was like I want to be touched by life. It was just simply, I want to be touched by life. I just want to be touched by the wondrousness of life. And I felt these, in that moment, I was just becoming aware of all the hands that were around, and all the other people that were sitting around. And it was just like complete wonder. How can it be? All these people, where do they come from, and what is that? And yeah, I mean, I was just very touched of the care of of, of those who were birthing me, the midwives and mothers and fathers. And the other day in the morning, also the whole thing started in some way, and I also had to. I mean, I was very angry. I was very angry at God, you could say. Like, why the fuck do we have to go through this confusion? Because I saw in a way that this confusion, it started so much also with the name, that my parents give me this name, and suddenly there's this separation. There's this Nico, and somehow the awareness, nameless, formless awareness, and then moving into this Nico, and then this whole burden. What a burden! What a burden! And I felt such gratitude to, like, I saw the gratitude that was there, to that you called me Om, that I could somehow drop this name in a way. I mean, of course, whatever is connected to the name, I might have not been able to drop completely, yeah. But at least to to see that, yeah, that was really amazing. And then I saw, I was asked, like, somebody told me, well, you chose to come here. You chose to come here yourself. And in that moment, I saw the reason. Like, I saw the courage and the enormous compassion that the soul must have, or something, to come. I mean, it was just compassion. It was just compassion. Just the energy of compassion was there, and that was very touching. Yeah. So yeah, there's a strong part that doesn't want to be here, and like this, but yeah, there's also compassion, and in that can't really say there's reason. I mean, it doesn't matter anymore then. If it doesn't matter anymore. Yeah. So that was the rebirth process.
Yeah, I mean, for most human beings, they probably think there is a reason to be here. Maybe they don't notice that probably they themselves created some reason, you know. They want to be, I don't know, they want to be the boss of some company, they want to be the prime minister, they want to be rich, whatever, I don't know, you know, there are many reasons that people invent. And these reasons that they invent, kind of their task, my task is like this or whatever. And maybe they don't easily inquire into that task or the point of their life to see if there really is a point. Because what if there is no point? Then if there's no real point to life, then what you maybe discovered today is that it's about experiencing yourself in any moment. It's like it's a way of existence or the intelligence or the consciousness to know itself through this mind-body organism called, well, now it's called Om. You know, I have these two little girls, yeah, 4 years old. And I mean, basically their day, they wake up, let's say at 7:30 in the morning, and within 1 or 2 minutes, they're at 100% kind of, you know, activity, you know, amazing. They immediately, you know, kind of jump out of bed and they're immediately on the go doing stuff. And that keeps going for the next 12 hours, non-stop, you know, from one adventure, one play to the next play, the next adventure. They stop sometimes to eat something. They sometimes go and pee, something like this. But most of the time, it's non-stop for 12 hours. And then I've invented a little bedtime thing. And so then within about 20 minutes, we have a 20-minute transition, which includes some cartoons, and then they fall asleep. The cartoons finish and they're fast asleep within 2 or 3 minutes for 12 hours. So they lie there for 12 hours and then again, the next day starts. And you can ask yourself, well, I ask myself, you know, what's the point, you know, of all that? And when it's a little kid, then there's not really any point. You know, you can say, well, it's very lovely, I can enjoy it, they enjoy it, it's lots of fun, but there's not really any point. But when we become adults, between, you know, being a little kid and being a big kid, we have gradually developed some ideas about what is the point of my life, you know. I want to be a fireman or a policeman or a doctor or something, yeah. And then society supports this game that, you know, I should be this or I should be that. So it's not so easy really to look and see that maybe life has no point. There is no point. And of course, that it's a bit scary, you know, it's pretty scary to think there's no point.
Yeah, it's yeah. I mean that's yeah, that's that's yeah, it's such a fear, such a fear. I don't know. I'm not super much in contact with it, but I know it. This thought of, okay, the whole thing doesn't have a point, and it just goes on. It just goes on, and I don't know. I just don't know. Then there's not knowing, just not knowing what. It's like surrender. Yeah. No point, no point. Not even enlightenment? Is enlightenment a point? Is that a point? That was the
Well,
ultimate point.
you could make it your point. You could make it your point. I mean, of course, there are, well, somebody like Ramana Maharshi, for example, has said that, you know, that is a point. Yeah, he says that, you know, to come to self-realization, that is a worthwhile point. Yeah. But, you know, actually, what does that mean? It means that you're living in each moment in harmony and in peace, with no sense of lack. And the moments are going from moment to moment. So this word enlightenment, what does it mean? You know, it actually means living in our most natural way. It's not something we're gonna get that's different from now. It's basically directing us to live in our most natural way in harmony with our essence.
Mm.
So when you come to what you're hoping is going to be enlightenment, you will find that actually it's very ordinary.
Yeah.
You're going to laugh a lot, probably. So maybe we should ask Dominique about that, because he's living in India, in Rishikesh, and probably on the whole planet, Rishikesh is one of the most sort of spiritual communities. I mean, it's a famous town with many ashrams. So maybe living there, he's found a point, you know? Can we ask him?
Can you hear me?
Yes, yes. Yeah.
Yeah, I think after 5 months now in Rishikesh, there are a lot of people, the whole environment, I think. Everyone has a certain knowledge, experience about it, about stillness. And I also can feel it with myself. I really changed. The calm, much calmer than before. And also realizations, I think, in the stillness come very automatically, very natural. But there's nothing really to do here. For 5 months living in Rishikesh, it's just like you said, moment for moment. Just keep going without really needing a reason. Yeah. But for me, it's beautiful. If I don't have a target, if I go out every day, sitting at the Ganga, at the river, exploring, seeing new things, so just with an empty mind. And yeah, it's just a surprise every day what's happening and going on. But every day seems to be very smooth going on. So yeah, there's no special thing to do.
Yeah, I mean, I think there is some value in living for some longer time in another culture. You know, are you Italian?
I'm German.
Oh, you're German. You're German. Okay.
Yeah.
But anyway, whatever nationality, living in India for a longer time confronts many things that when you would live in Germany, you probably wouldn't notice because it's so much part of you. When I was around 30, I found myself living in Tokyo in Japan. And I went through, you know, quite different moments, intense moments living in Japan, because I ended up living in Japan for 3.5 years, although that wasn't the plan in the beginning. And yeah, I came there as a kind of middle-class English who thought he understood everything, but actually didn't understand very much about life and the world and so on. And he came to Japan, and then he met a culture which in a way was shocking. You know, they ate with little wooden sticks. You know, they lived in spaces where the bedroom and the living room was the same space. You just took out the bed from the cupboard in the evening, and so on. You know, it was a completely different style of life in Japan than I had known in Europe. And so there were many moments that I was confronted by my English culture. And even when I first came there, being English, of course, I thought my culture was the best. And then in Japan at that time, there was a book, a best-selling book, which was Japan #1. So then I realized the Japanese also think their culture is the best one. And then, of course, with a bit of thought, I realized that actually every culture thinks it's the best one, including the English culture. So this kind of thing on a daily basis was quite shocking for me. And it kind of shook me around, you know. It was a good shake.
I can agree, yeah, that the change of the environment can also make a shift for new perspectives.
Yeah.
To be more open to other cultures, more tolerant, accept also other attitudes. And it's the same for me here in India. They're doing business in a different way, even in a restaurant, a hotel, negotiation, everything. I think it's there are so many lessons to learn every day. Totally agree.
Yeah. Yeah, I also lived in India for quite a few years. That was, and of course, India and Japan are very, very different. So having got used to the Japanese culture, and so it wasn't shocking me much anymore, then I shifted to India, and then I got a completely new cultural shock in India. There, they don't eat with sticks; they eat with their fingers. In England, we use knives and forks. In Japan, they use little sticks, and in India, they eat with their right hand.
Yeah.
Okay, so is there anything else? I think we're going to finish fairly soon. So if you're planning your summer holidays, I would like to offer you two possible destinations. We have this retreat happening in our retreat center in Tripelia, just outside Kiev. It's from the 18th of July for 2 weeks until the 2nd of August. Probably you never thought of having your holiday in Ukraine, but actually it's a very beautiful place and incredibly heartful people I've collected over the last 5 or 6 years. I've collected these guys there, and we ourselves have built that retreat center. So there's a natural park there. We're right on the edge of a kind of lake, so you can swim. We've got a hotel there, which we constructed from an office building. And yeah, I would say many people are very touched from being in that place. So that retreat will happen on the 18th of July. And then some years ago, I had one Spanish student. I think now I have also one Spanish student. Now it's Madhu. And in those days, it was a doctor. And she introduced us to a house owned by another doctor. in a small town called Denia, which is 1 hour south of Valencia. Valencia is one of the modern Spanish cities, and it's on the coast below Barcelona. So Barcelona, Valencia, and then Denia, Denia. It's a small town, has a castle and a harbor, and it has sandy beaches and rocky beaches. And we have a beautiful house there, and we'll have a retreat for 2 weeks, which is from the 28th of August until the 13th of September. So the first 2 weeks of September. So again, you're very welcome to come there. It's a way of, both are a way of combining kind of holiday with a retreat. So we have free time in the afternoon, so you can go for a swim or walk on the beach or whatever. And then we have activities in the morning and in the evening. So, yeah. Okay. Anything else before we finish? Okay, I'll say goodbye. And I'll see you again in 2 weeks' time. I don't know what the date is then, but where are we? That'll be July. I think it's July the 12th. Is that right?
Yeah, July 12th, yeah.
Yeah, okay, at 5 o'clock, yeah. Okay. Can switch me off.
Goodbye, everyone. I'm stopping now.